They shouted at me, "You fucking Chinese, go back to your country." And then they threw some dirt at me. Hello everyone, I wasn't actually planning to make this video, but recently I have been thinking about something that nobody told me before I moved to the UK. Back home in Vietnam, people thought I was living my dream. Whenever I post a photo in London, everyone would comment things like, "Wow, you're so lucky. Life in England must be amazing." And honestly, sometimes I don't know how to respond. Because yes, there are amazing things about living here, but there are also parts that I never showed online. The loneliness, the rejection, the moments when I questioned whether moving here had been the right decision. This isn't a video about why living in the UK is bad. I actually like living here. This is a simple video I wish someone had made before I packed my suitcase and left Vietnam. So if you are thinking about moving abroad, or maybe you have already made it, I hope my story helps you feel a little less lonely. When I first arrived, everything felt exciting. The buildings, the parks, the underground, even hearing the English, the British accent, everywhere felt unusual. It felt like I was finally starting the life I had imagined. But after that excitement wore off, real life started. I had to find work, I figured out how everything worked, learn all these little social rules that nobody explains. Back home, I never had to think about whether I was saying the wrong thing. Here, I was thinking about it constantly. Even ordering coffee felt stressful sometimes, to be honest. I had rehearsed what I wanted to say in my head before I reached the counter. And I just remember one of the, I don't know, on TikTok video or Instagram, I don't know, but a guy or a woman tried to rehearsal to order the sandwich from from hotel. Like, "Hello, I would like to order a sandwich." And then when the receptionist pick up the phone and say, "Hello, what can I have you?" And she say, "I am a sandwich."
Hello, I'm calling from room 252 and I'd like to order a sandwich. Hello, I'm calling from... Okay, I can do this. Hello? I'm a sandwich.
It's I mean, it's funny, but sometimes it happened to me. It's not that terrible or funny, but yeah, sometimes I like misspell some words, and yeah, it's the reality. People always ask me, "Were you lonely? Wasn't you lonely?" And the answer is yes, but maybe not in the way people imagine. I have a wonderful husband. He's incredibly supportive. So I wasn't lonely because I didn't have anyone. I was lonely because I missed my world. I miss speaking Vietnamese. I miss, speaking the language without thinking, without translating in my head and then speak in another language. And I miss friends who understood me without explaining everything. I miss my family, and I even missed small things like sitting in the cafe for 3 hours, doing absolutely nothing but talking shit with my friends. Yeah, in London, life feels faster. People are busy, everyone has somewhere to be, and at first I thought people didn't like me. But later I realized that is just the culture. People aren't rude. They are simply more private. And once I understood that, I stopped taking it personally. And that was a huge turning point for me. I don't need to care about what people think about me anymore, because in Vietnam, it's like more community-like, people care about what you think and how you feel so they can blend in better or adapt better. But in here, you don't really need to do that. I think so, at least for me. And even my husband, he told me that you didn't need to care too much about everyone. Just do what you like. Yeah, it took me a while, like 1 or 2 years, to get that idea into my head. And now, with that idea, you don't need to think too much about what people think about you. I feel like I have more freedom. Trying to fit in, I think every immigrant goes through this. You want to fit in. I even tried speaking with a British accent. I actively trained, like I have book and I tried to read it in very, very, exaggerating pronunciation to how to copy the English accent. And I don't know, a few years ago, when I talked to one of my husband's friend, she asked me, why don't you try to adopt British accent? I laugh it off because basically I was trying to do it and trying to talk with British accent to her. But honestly, after hearing what she recommend without any, bad intention, but inside I felt embarrassed. For weeks after that, I became so aware of my voice. Every conversation felt like a test. I tried to copy the way people pronounce with the mouth and the lips movement. But eventually I realized I was spending so much energy trying to sound like a British person, and it's distracting me from how to pronounce or how to speak fluently. Articulation and fluency is more important than British accent. So now I don't try to change my accent. I just try to communicate clearly, and there is a big difference. And once you get that idea in your head again, you're gonna have more freedom to express yourself without trying too hard to sound like a British person. There's one moment I don't think I will ever forget. A few years ago, 10 years ago, I was still studying in Nottingham. It's just like 2 weeks after I arrived in the UK. And one evening, I was walking home after class in a small alley that it's just the daily route I picked to go because it's like shortcut. A group of teenage girls came over and asked me for money. Like I just politely said no. I thought they're just like joking, just girls. As I walked away, they shouted at me, "You fucking Chinese, go back to your country." And then they threw some dirt at me. I remember I just being frozen, freezing at that moment. I didn't know what to do. It's just 2 weeks after I landed in the UK. I didn't cry, I just kept walking home. And that was the first time I truly felt like no matter how hard I tried, some people would never see me as someone who belonged here. Honestly, what made me feel even more angry was I paid lots of money for that master course and come to England to study and got treated like that. That's an experience, and I would need to be more careful when I walk at night. But thankfully, that experience hasn't been my everyday reality. But if you just come to the UK, maybe you need to be more mindful walking in a small alley with no street light. Anyway, I just want to emphasize that most people I have met in the UK have been kind. I feel very thankful for that. But after that day, I became much more aware of the smaller moments, the assumptions, the awkward moments, the surprise when people realize, oh, she's Asian and she can speak English that good. I think they are small in their own. They haven't exposed enough to the world. It took me a long time to realize something. Other people's prejudice has nothing to do with my value, and that's their story, not mine. One thing nobody talks about is the pressure to look successful. When your family is thousands of miles away, they only see what you showed them. They see the photos in UK, nice cafe, museum, holidays. Of course, they would never see the moment when you try to eat instant noodle just because you want to save some money. They don't see the job applications get ignored. They don't see you crying because you miss home. Sometimes I didn't even tell my family when I was struggling. Honestly, most of the time I don't. because I'm the firstborn child, firstborn daughter. So yeah, I didn't want them to worry. And maybe I didn't want them to think I had, I don't know, make a mistake somehow. But I think a lot of immigrants understand that feeling, you need to show family that you are successful enough and you are doing great here. And so your family back home don't need to worry about you, or in some toxic parents, maybe they don't need to feel disappointed because you're not really successful in here. Now, the biggest lesson I have learned is this. I stopped trying to belong. Instead, I started building a life that felt like mine. I cooked Vietnamese food, I found my favorite parks, I journaled. That journaling helps a lot. I stopped asking, how do I become more British? How do I blend in? And I start asking, how do I become the happiest version of myself while living here? That is freedom. I know I have mentioned a lot of freedom in this video, but yeah, that's really how I mean. I'm still Vietnamese. That will never change me, but now Britain is part of my story too, so I don't have to choose one or another. You Vietnamese or you English? You know what I mean. So, if you have ever moved to another country, or maybe you are thinking about it, I hope this video gives you a more honest picture than the one we usually see online, like just fancy Instagram picture with castle, royal families. Living abroad can be beautiful, and it can also be super difficult. Sometimes both things are true on the same day. If you are struggling right now, please know that you are not failing. You are learning how to build a new life, and that takes time. Thank you so much for watching. I would genuinely love to hear your story in the comments. What's been the hardest part about living away from home? Take care, and I will see you in the next video.